She looked relaxed, confident, happy, like someone who had done this 100 times and still loved every second of it. Her floral dress caught the light as she crossed the stage, and the audience greeted her with loud applause, some people even standing. Jimmy Fallon met her with his usual playful energy, arms open, laughing before she even reached him. "Leanne Morgan, everybody," he shouted, and she laughed, hugging him quickly before sitting down in the guest chair. For the first few minutes, everything felt light and easy. The band played a soft transition, the crowd settled, and Jimmy leaned forward with his cue cards, smiling wide. "First of all," he said, "you are absolutely everywhere right now. Tours, Netflix, viral clips, you're living the dream." Leanne chuckled, adjusting herself in the chair. "Listen, Jimmy, I don't even know how this happened. I'm just a mama from Tennessee who talks too much." The audience laughed warmly. Her humor was effortless, natural, comforting. She talked about her family, her kids, how fame still felt strange to her. The crowd loved her stories, about grocery stores, church, Southern moms, and embarrassing her children in public. Jimmy laughed along, clapping at the punchlines, genuinely enjoying the energy. The vibe was perfect. Friendly. Fun. Safe. Then the conversation slowly shifted. Jimmy glanced at his card and smiled. "So, your comedy has gone super viral online, especially on social media. But social media can be intense. People can be brutal." Leanne nodded slowly. "Oh honey, I've learned that real quick." Jimmy laughed. "Yeah, I mean, everyone has an opinion now. Everyone's a critic." She smiled, but there was something more careful in her eyes now. Still calm. Still polite. But more guarded. Jimmy continued, "Some people say comedians should avoid certain topics now. That comedy needs to change with the times. Do you feel pressure to filter yourself more?" There it was. Not a harsh question. Not aggressive. But loaded. The audience went quiet in that subtle way, where laughter fades and curiosity takes over. The band didn't play. No jokes. No filler sound. Leanne took a small breath. "I think kindness should always come first," she said gently. "I don't believe in hurting people for laughs. But I also think comedy is supposed to be honest." Jimmy nodded. "Right, right." She continued, more thoughtfully now. "People don't come to my shows to feel attacked. They come to laugh at life. At themselves. At the mess we are all living in." The crowd gave a small supportive clap. Jimmy smiled again, but pressed just a little more. "But what about when people say certain jokes make them uncomfortable? That some humor doesn't belong on big platforms anymore?" The shift was subtle, but real. The warmth in the room cooled just a degree. Leanne tilted her head slightly. Her smile didn't disappear, but it tightened. "I think there's a difference between being cruel and being honest," she said. "I don't make fun of people's pain. I make fun of my life. My marriage. My kids. My church. My own mistakes." Jimmy leaned back, nodding. "Sure, sure." Then he added, casually, "But do you think some comedians hide behind honesty to avoid accountability?" The audience made a soft "oh" sound. It wasn't loud. But it was enough. Leanne paused. Just a second too long. The silence felt heavier than noise. She looked at Jimmy directly now, not smiling. Not angry. Just serious. "Jimmy," she said calmly, "I've spent my whole life trying to make people feel less alone, not more attacked." The crowd applauded, stronger this time. He smiled again, trying to keep it light. Of course, of course. I'm just asking the questions people are thinking." Her eyes flicked briefly toward the audience, then back to him. "And sometimes," she said softly, "those questions come from people who don't actually listen to the answers." The room shifted again. Not explosive. Not dramatic. But tense. The band stayed silent. Jimmy laughed a little, trying to smooth it over. Hey, we are good, we are good." But Leanne didn't laugh this time. She sat straighter in her chair, hands folded in her lap. "I think comedy right now is under a microscope," she continued. "And that's fine. But what's not fine is assuming comedians are villains just because they don't fit into every new box." The applause was loud now. Jimmy nodded, but his smile looked more fixed than natural. "Totally," he said. "I'm just playing devil's advocate." She looked at him for a moment, measuring her words. "Sometimes," she said quietly, The devil doesn't need an advocate. That line hit the room like a dropped glass. Sharp. Sudden. The audience reacted instantly. Gasps, applause, murmurs, a few shocked laughs. Jimmy blinked, surprised, then laughed awkwardly. Okay, wow, that escalated quickly. Leanne gave a small, polite smile, but the warmth from earlier was gone. Something had shifted inside her. You could feel it. The audience could feel it. Even the cameras felt closer now, tighter, more focused. The easy conversation was gone, replaced by a strange mix of tension and politeness. Jimmy tried to pivot. All right, let's lighten it up. Tell me about your tour. But Leanne gently raised her hand. Not aggressive. Not dramatic. Just firm. Jimmy, she said, her voice calm but steady, I came here to make people laugh. Not to defend my existence as a comedian. The room went quiet again. Dead quiet. No music. No laughter. No movement. The kind of silence that feels loud. She continued, I respect this platform. I respect your show. But I don't believe in turning comedy into a courtroom. Jimmy opened his mouth to respond, but she stood up from her chair. Gasps rippled through the audience. Producers offstage froze. Cameras hesitated for half a second before adjusting. Leanne adjusted her dress, picked up her mic, and looked at the crowd. I love y'all, she said softly. Thank you for the kindness. Applause erupted, confused, loud, emotional. Some people stood. Some looked shocked. Some whispered. She turned back to Jimmy, her voice still calm. No hard feelings, she said. But I'm not built for performative debates. Jimmy stood too, stunned. Leanne, hey, wait. But she was already walking. Not rushing. Not storming. Just walking with quiet dignity toward the exit side of the stage. The band didn't play her out. The lights stayed bright. The audience clapped, unsure if they were witnessing a real moment or part of a bit. But it didn't feel like a bit. It felt real. Raw. Unscripted. Human. As Leanne disappeared backstage, the applause continued, mixed with confusion, tension, and awe. Jimmy stood frozen for a moment, hands half raised, trying to process what just happened. Then he exhaled, forcing a smile. Well, he said into the mic, that just happened. The crowd laughed nervously. But the energy in the room was completely different now. Not playful. Not light. Not late-night fun. It felt like a line had been crossed. And everyone knew it. Backstage, the energy felt completely different from the polished calm of the studio. Leanne walked down the hallway slowly, her heels clicking softly against the floor. Crew members stood frozen on either side, unsure what to say, unsure if they were allowed to speak. Some gave her sympathetic looks. Others looked shocked. One young production assistant whispered, I'm so sorry, as she passed. Leanne didn't respond. Not because she was angry, but because she was trying to breathe. Her chest felt tight, not with rage, but with emotion. The kind that comes when you hold something in for too long and it finally reaches the surface. She stepped into a quiet dressing room, closed the door gently behind her, and leaned against it. For a moment, she just stood there. Eyes closed. Breathing slow. Steady. Not crying. Not shaking. Just still. On the other side of the door, producers were already talking in low, urgent voices. Headsets buzzed. Phones were coming out. Someone was already calling publicists. Another producer whispered, this is going viral. This is already going viral. Inside the studio, Jimmy Fallon stood under the bright lights, trying to recover the show. Well, he said again, forcing a laugh. That was unexpected. The audience laughed nervously, but it wasn't real laughter. It was confusion laughter. The kind people use when they don't know what else to do. Jimmy tried to regain control. We are gonna take a quick break, he said. When we come back. The band finally played, a soft awkward tune that felt more like a bandage than music. The cameras cut to commercial. The moment the red lights went off, the studio exploded into motion. Producers rushed the stage. Jimmy took his mic off, his smile gone. What just happened? He asked quietly. A producer leaned in. We pushed too far. Another said, that wasn't supposed to go there. Jimmy rubbed his face. I wasn't trying to attack her. I was just. Yeah, the producer replied, but it landed wrong. Really wrong. Back in the dressing room, Leanne finally sat down. Her phone buzzed. Then buzzed again. Then again. Messages. Texts. Calls. Her manager. Her husband. Other comedians. Friends. She didn't look at any of them yet. She stared at the wall for a moment and whispered to herself, "I just wanted to make people laugh." A soft knock came at the door. "Leanne," a staff member said gently. "Are you okay?" She stood, opened the door, and smiled kindly. "I'm all right, sweetheart. Thank you. Do you need anything? Water? Someone to call?" "I've got my people," she said softly. The staff member nodded and stepped away. Leanne picked up her phone and finally checked the messages. Hundreds of notifications. Clips already circulating. Short videos.